For the longest time, I thought WWE was barbaric, hypermasculine, testosterone-fueled garbage, and if there were ever any women involved, they were probably being over-sexualized. Basically, it was not for me. But I hear that WWE has had a rebrand, especially for the women, and today, maybe my mind will change about the sport. And okay, to be fair, I have never actually sat down and watched a minute of the sport in my life. Hi, I'm Nandita. Welcome back to the Ready Set Girl show. Let's get into it. I have always heard my guy friends talk about these iconic WWE moments that they remember and what their favorite fighter is. And when they start talking about this, I usually tune out. Or when they realize I have no idea what they're talking about, they will very kindly recount the fight minute by minute or stunt by stunt. Very sweet, but like I said, not my cup of tea. Usually what will get me into a sport is the female side of it. It happened for cricket. I didn't care about Virat Kohli hitting a six, no offense, but when I saw Smriti Mandhana do it, something changed inside me. But for WWE, I feel like the way the male fighters were given creativity and personality, the female fighters were not. They were just vapid eye candy. So I did some research on this, and here's what I found. WWE is basically reality TV, and hey, I love reality TV. Love Island, Dance Moms, Too Hot to Handle. It's not trashy, it's an anthropological study. But I don't know, something about WWE to me always felt super barbaric. I'm not one to watch fighting anyways, but whenever I would see it playing at like a TGI Fridays when I was younger, I would be so icked out that this was actually being televised. And very recently, maybe like as recently as this year, I found out that it was all fake. Like it's all choreographed. I don't know, the whole world seems very warped and complicated, and you put women into that and it just feels like a recipe for disaster. One thing is for sure though, WWE's programming pushed the boundaries of reality TV style spectacle. I am told today that apparently things have changed, and while WWE is a women's sport low-key, let's see. So I gave it a chance, right? I watched a couple fights, Royal Rumbles, and they were insane. From what I've understood, people enjoy it for watching all the stunts and the storylines. There are actually writers who sit and create whole relationships and backstories for these fighters, and that's what makes these fights more interesting. So the backstory plus the stunts is what sells. Now, WWE started in 1953, and as you would expect at that time, wrestling was very much a men's game. Women were brought in as a sideshow to break up the monotony of the men's matches, and women kind of stayed as a side act for many years. It goes on like this where none of the women really get any real storylines or character arcs for the audiences to sink their teeth into. And in the late 90s, a real low for women trying to wrestle. They were less involved in wrestling competitions, and it was more like bikini competition. Except for Chyna, where these rules didn't seem to apply to her because she was just so jacked. More than some of the men there too. So when she broke out in a big way in the late 90s, she redefined what a woman in WWE could be. But her main storylines were not fights with other women, but in fact men. And that was a huge deal because she not only became the only woman to enter a men's Royal Rumble match at that time, but the only woman till date to win the Intercontinental title. But we saw the last of her in 2001. And I'll say that unless you watched and were invested already, you would not have known about these women who were real athletes and talented wrestlers and stunt women. Because outside of the WWE world, the general impression was that women in the sport were just there to be ogled at. And as a woman, I did not want to buy into this problematic promotion. One of the most controversial examples was the promotion of the pay-per-view event titled WWE Divas Undressed. What followed on SmackDown and later in New York City became one of the most talked about diva segments of that era. It was 2002 and several divas made their entrances wearing revealing outfits, each one stepping onto stage to cheers, whistles, and a roaring crowd. The camera cuts across the arena as the audience jump to their feet trying to get the best view. At the commentary desk, Jerry Lawler, wrestler turned commentator, reacted exactly as you might expect for that era. He and the other commentators leaned into the segment by making exaggerated remarks about the entrances and the outfit. But the entire moment quickly shifted from a fashion showcase to chaos. Within seconds, tension sparked between the divas and a full-blown fight broke out in the ring. What began as a promotion suddenly turned into an all-out brawl. But it also feels like a brawl was exactly what they wanted. Also, just calling them divas has enough misogynistic implications in itself, not to mention what they thought the championship belt for women should look like. Though this is only one example, it perfectly described the theme of how women were treated in WWE at this time. Treatment of female wrestlers did get better over time. The early 2000s saw the rise of stars like AJ Lee, Beth Phoenix, and Nikki Bella. However, the highest honor those in the main roster could receive was the Divas Championship, existing from 2008 to 2016. Only a reminder of the sexualization of female athletes in WWE's past and present. It seems that WWE got wind of the women's sports revolution, because in July 2015, the World Wrestling Entertainment executive Stephanie McMahon called for better, more important roles for women in professional wrestling. Invoking the success of the US women's national soccer team, Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm, and Miesha Tate in the UFC, and tennis stars Serena and Venus Williams, as proof of the growing clout of women's sports, McMahon called for changing the Divas division of pro wrestling. She said, "There's a revolution in women's sports happening right now. I want this revolution here in WWE." Nearly 8 months later, during Sunday night's WrestleMania, WWE took another step in the revolution by announcing a new championship, well, a new name anyhow. With much fanfare, WWE retired the name Divas and rebranded as the Women's Championship. She announced that all performers, male or female, would be known simply as superstars. This change did not happen in isolation. It was the latest step in a fan-driven movement known as Give Divas a Chance. Fans demanded longer matches, real storylines, and more opportunities for the women. The movement exploded on social media. In February, the hashtag #GiveDivasAChance trended on Twitter for 3 straight days. WWE noticed. The women were no longer being used as quick filler segments or decorations for the men's matches. They were becoming central to the product. Now, the WWE measured their female athletes on their skill in the ring and on the mic. While the WWE women are still scantily clad, so are the men, the programming is no longer geared as heavily toward the male gaze. The idea is to put less focus on the women's bodies and more focus on their abilities, character storylines, and charisma. There was a clear shift. Women got the coveted main event slot of WWE's biggest show, WrestleMania 35, in 2019, and women have now wrestled in pretty much all of WWE's iconic stipulation matches, such as the Royal Rumble, Hell in a Cell, and Money in the Bank ladder matches, and finally their own dedicated pay-per-view, Evolution, in 2018. And a lot of these matches are proving to be even more in demand than the men's matches. I gotta say though, some achievements came with major asterisks. For example, the first women's Money in the Bank match ended in controversy. A male wrestler climbed the ladder, grabbed the suitcase, and tossed it down to a female competitor. Fans were furious, and WWE had to reschedule the match 2 weeks later. Then there was Evolution, WWE's first all-female pay-per-view. It was historic, but many fans felt it was used as counter-programming. At the time, WWE had just started working with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where women were not allowed to wrestle. Evolution took place the same weekend WWE promoted its Saudi show. Women have been allowed to wrestle in Saudi Arabia since then, most recently in June, but there has been an ongoing debate amongst fans about the partnership. WWE continues to run shows there despite years of criticism. Many believe this is part of the reason WWE did not schedule Evolution as an annual event. But Evolution 2 returned last summer, and its scheduling still left people thinking it was counter-programming, competing for attention instead of being given room to shine on its own. At the same time, WWE's audience is changing. More fans today lean towards the All Elite Wrestling's more progressive style, and with WWE moving to Netflix earlier this year, there are way more eyes on women's sports and entertainment than ever. Evolution 2 could bring in a huge audience if WWE truly supports it. Just like the Give Divas a Chance movement, fans have been asking for Evolution 2 since the first event ended. In many ways, the problems that existed back then are still around today. Women's matches are often the first segments that are cut when shows run long. Many female wrestlers have lost their jobs in layoffs. And even though there are women's championships now, some titles are rarely defended. Evolution 2 is important because it proves that there is still demand for a full show that is built around women's wrestling. But the build for the event has been rough. WWE announced no matches until less than 2 weeks before the show. 2 of the matches are multi-woman matches, including a battle royale, and the Women's United States Championship is not scheduled to be defended at all. That goes against the whole purpose of having a women's only pay-per-view, which should focus on meaningful stories and big championship moments. It's true though, women's wrestling has very much become central to WWE's biggest shows. Some fans, though, I have to say, are very resentful towards WWE as a company as a whole, saying that the progress done today is simply a band-aid for the misogynistic behavior that they built this company on. And on top of that, a lot of the storylines being written for the women are being written by men. But to be fair, there are open channels of communication between the female wrestlers and the writers. But with WWE's background, you can see how having men write about the female experience can be problematic. I don't know. To a certain extent, I agree with this. Like, again, the company and the competition has such a reputation that unless you're invested in the sport, you're unlikely to even have heard of this rebrand. I mean, I eat, sleep, and breathe women's sports, and I had no idea WWE was making ways to treat their women athletes better. But like I said, I did watch a couple matches in Royal Rumbles, and the skills and the stunts and confidence in these women is undeniable. If they love it and they're being treated well, hey, we love female athletes and we love seeing women's sports do well. So yeah, I guess I'll support it. Thank you so much for watching the Ready Set Girl show. I will catch you next week.